Okay, so responding to unkindness, because we know there are unkind adults in the world. They raise unkind kids. That vitriol, that nastiness is happening in their home. It's a learned behavior, just like kindness is a learned behavior. So is the nastiness. So those kids are going to come into our school. They're going to come into our classrooms, and we can work with them and start to switch it around, start to create that space where maybe this is how you speak at home, but in here, this is how we do things. So, but we have to, ahead of time, be ready to deal with it so that we keep our own emotions in check. So oftentimes when our kids are cruel or mean or nasty or bullying somebody, we can get mad, we can feel disappointed, we can be frustrated or even embarrassed, like, I can't believe my students are acting like this. It can also trigger our own memories from our own past, things that happened to us or things that have happened to our own children. When my kids come home with stories, it triggers up things that like happened to me as a kid, and then I escalate it where I could have easily de-escalated it. So that's the number one thing. De-escalate, stay calm, manage your own big emotions, right? And then have a measured response. So if you need to take a minute to be like, okay, I'm gonna need 10 seconds to just do some deep breathing here because I can't believe that just happened and I need a second in order to respond appropriately. That's modeling how to deal with big, scary emotions, how to deal with that overwhelm. You're showing them, whoa, I need a minute. I'm gonna press pause for a second. I'm gonna come back to you in just a second. But we can then start to handle this in a measured response, because if we meet their nasty or cruel or big emotions with our big emotions, if we blow up, I can't believe you did that, we don't talk like that in this classroom, you're escalating the situation, you're making it worse on accident, okay? But if we can be like, oh, that's a bummer that happened. We don't do that in our school. We don't treat people this way. This is how we need to turn it around. So we can then start in and deal with the unkindness. So we can start by labeling it. For our students who are having those big emotions, you are mad, you are sad, you are frustrated. That really hurts, or that really hurt your feelings. But we don't get to hit. We don't get to yell. We don't get to throw things. We don't get to whatever their big reaction is. So we're showing them that they're able to have their emotion, but we're also then drawing the boundary lines. So when our students are coming at us, usually they're coming in at the most inopportune times with those big things, right? Right as recess bells ringing or lunch, and we're having to get right down. It's usually right when your principal's walking in. There's a big skerfuffle, and you've got this lesson plan that you know is gonna be taking up all of your time, and you've gotta get to lunch. It can feel overwhelming when they're coming in with all of this stuff. So sometimes I've had students just like write down, if they're writers, write down what happened, and that whole process just calms them down, pulling one student at a time to just kind of hear what happened. Because when they're all doing it all at once, it can get bigger, or having one student pause and having them talk and then going back and forth, whatever works for you, or saying, I need you to pause this and tell me after the math lesson. That gives them time to calm down and de-escalate a little bit. But when you are in that position, you want to play the referee less and the sportcaster more. So you are, I hear that this has happened, or I saw that this happened, and then I saw that this happened. Am I missing something? What else happened before that? And then we can give them some redirect. We can say, you're a kind kid, but you forgot, because what you said was unkind, or that was an unkind thing to say or an unkind thing to do. And that's not how we do things in this school. Or how would you have felt, right? You could go back to this. How would you have felt if that was said to you, or if that was done to you? In our class, we speak with kindness, right? And we can go through their actions with this. And then we can show them how to start to make amends, right? How to, okay, well, this has been said, we can't undo it, but what can we do to make it better? So let's brainstorm ways that we can fix this so that we can move forward. Do we need to apologize? How do you want to apologize? Do you want to do it verbally? Do you want to write it down? Do you want to draw a picture? Do you want to do a handshake? Do you want to talk about what's going to happen next time? Do you need to check on them if they got hurt? Do you need to check to see if they're okay? Do you need to go get ice? Do you need to walk them to the nurse's office so that they can get checked out? And in all of this time where we can be working on conflict resolution and using those I statements, I am mad when, and listening, you're gonna listen to what they have to say, and then they're gonna listen to what you have to say, and empathizing. And I hear that you are feeling this way, or I would feel that way too. How do you feel? Connecting the emotion to it. All of that is building up their emotional intelligence, but it's also creating this kinder environment where students then feel empowered to have their emotions, but not let them overtake them. And we also talk about cause and effect with our students. We can say, you know, because this happened, then this happened. But for as adults, we have to then keep in mind cause and effect. We have to realize that if we see this big explosion, this big blow up, one kid hits another kid, what happened right before? You know, as adults, we usually punish the final act, right? He hit him, principal's office, suspension, whatever the case may be. What happened right before? What caused? There's no excuse for hitting, but there's usually an explanation. Something was said, something was done, little minor aggressions that have been happening kind of under your nose for a while maybe, or out on the recess playground, you didn't even know it, and then it just exploded. Or something had happened last year and it just kind of kept building and building and building, and then there's an explosion. So all we see as the adults is the big explosion. We have to play detective a little bit. What happened right before? What caused this big effect? What happened? Because we know as people who deal with little children, all behavior is communication. If they are doing something or saying something or acting in a certain way, they're doing that for a reason. There is something, maybe they're hungry, maybe they're tired, maybe they're really mad, maybe they're scared. It's usually fear, or their basic needs have not been met. They're exhausted or they're hungry. There's something going on. If they're slamming the door, if they're throwing something down, big emotion, and they can't always put the words to it. So when we can say, oh, you are so frustrated and it's building up and you don't know what to do, and you pushed, I see that you're frustrated, but we keep our hands to ourselves. So in the next video, we're really gonna dive into helping our kids be mad without being mean, showing them step by step how to make that work. It's kind of an extension of this video. They're really connected, but it's helping them deal with their emotions. So we're modeling how to be mad, how to react to their big meanness, whatever it was, in a measured way, how we can calmly de-escalate the situation, how we can help them make amends, and we're looking for what happened right before, what caused it, what maybe did we not see that caused this chain reaction of big emotions and big events. And we know that all behavior is communication, but then how do we help our students deal with their big emotions, either before they go and they escalate the situation, or maybe right after, so that we're teaching them next time, let's do this instead. So I'm gonna share that all with you in the next video.